Awesome. Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Meet the Members, where we have the chance to sit down with some of our incredible residents who call Ormeau Bass their home. We're here today with the lovely Victoria McCann. Recently changed her surname. This is the second take that we did of this because I said the wrong surname the first time. And operations manager at Ignite, which I'm sure Victoria will tell us all about later on. And I guess to start, something I didn't know about you at all was that you're really into rowing.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that all about? Like, when, because it's not really the sort of thing that, I don't know, like, do many people get into rowing whenever they're like a teenager?
Yeah, good question. I don't know if we should have started with this because rowing's the type of thing I could talk about all day.
Oh yeah? Oh, let's go. Perfect.
But yeah, I actually kind of joined on a whim when I went to uni. I was kind of all set to play hockey, all set to join the hockey club at Queen's, and then I had a friend who I was supposed to go to hockey with her. She was like, oh, actually, I'm not going to hockey anymore. Like, I've signed up to rowing. And I was a bit like, oh no, like, I can go to something on my own.
The
like,
future for my life has been altered here. What are you
I
doing?
feel like, I just can't like manage that on my own. So either I go to hockey on my own, or like I just go with her and like find out what's going on at the boathouse, like down at Queen's rowing. So yeah, I went along with her. Didn't know what was going on, didn't know what was happening, but basically got out in a boat and just like fell in love with it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was when I started uni, so I was 18, and I've been rowing ever since. I've been rowing now for like 8 years.
Flip me.
So yeah, I'm a wee bit obsessed.
Great.
Yeah, I love it. I love everything about it. I'm like really passionate about it, and I'm definitely biased, but I do think it's like one of the best sports that you could be involved in.
So I'm going to be honest, my only point of reference for rowing is the Social Network.
Okay.
And the rowing scenes in that.
Okay.
So like, fill it out for me a wee bit. Like, what was it about it that kind of like gave you the bug?
I think I've always loved water.
Okay.
There's just something about water. Like, I think being on the water is just really amazing, and I'm a real like people person. If it was left to me to kind of like exercise on my own or like set my own goals, like I probably wouldn't bother.
Sure.
But the amazing thing about rowing is like you're part of a team and there's so much accountability there.
Class.
And if you don't turn up or if you don't do what you're supposed to do, like it really negatively affects other people. So there's a real like community aspect to it as well.
It's a great forcing function for your workouts too.
Yes.
It's like outsourcing your willpower to the community. It's like, excellent, I just show up and row. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah. And it's also, there's such a correlation between the harder you work, the better you do, which is so rewarding.
That's cool.
So you can like always kind of set these goals and just work towards them, and just know like if I put in the hours, if I put in like the blood, sweat and tears, like I'll get somewhere and I'll achieve something, and that's a really lovely kind of ethos to have.
That's cool.
As part of the sport.
So, controversial question. This is the Nolan show all of a sudden. Rowing machines, yes or no?
I mean, I don't think anyone likes them, but they're just a part of the sport. Yeah.
A means to an end.
Yes, someone gifted us one as a wedding present. I got married a couple months ago, and someone bought us a rowing machine. So there's no escape now. It's in our house. We no longer can play the card of like, don't feel like going to the gym today. It's like actually it's sitting in our garage. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Victoria and I first met in very, very different circumstances. I was a student and you were working for Queen's at the time, the university here. Like, how on earth have you got involved in this weird and wonderful entrepreneurial world that you and I found ourselves like caught up in the middle of, the vortex?
Yeah, I think I've never had like a set career in mind. I've always just kind of followed opportunities. I've done stuff because I enjoyed it or loved it. So I actually studied English at Queen's for 3 years with no career in mind at all. I loved it, I was good at it, so I was like, I'll do this. And then after that I did a master's in marketing, again, no real career in mind, just
cool.
Like, I'll branch out and I'll do this. And then after that I landed a job in Queen's and I moved about a little bit, and then eventually I kind of found myself working in like the enterprise department in Queen's, so with student startups, like really early stage startups, like grassroots stuff. It was really varied. I actually worked a lot with in like female entrepreneurship with female students, and I kind of ran programs there. And then I guess it was from that I kind of got a taste of the ecosystem and startups and like all the support that was out there. And then a job came up at Ignite. It was initially a maternity cover, and it just, I guess it seemed like a good fit, but also it was a bit more of a challenge because I was used to working with really early stage startups, and kind of wide range of students, and this Ignite is more just like for tech startups. It's to kind of help them scale and grow and get investments. So startups that are maybe a bit more of like a later stage. So it's kind of familiar, but also kind of a challenge. So I guess just applied for the job, got the job, been here for 18 months now.
18 months?
Yeah, nearly 2
Wow.
years. I know, long time. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, like, I know everyone says this, but like, it does not feel that long since you came. Wow.
So I think it's like pandemic as well. It's like kind of skewed everyone's sense of time. But
totally.
Yeah, been here for a while now. It's been
cool.
Good.
So hit us with, like, you hear a lot of pitches, right? So like, your turn. What is Ignite? Like, give it to us.
Okay, so Ignite, we run accelerator programs for tech startups. Every year we help, I think, 30 companies kind of scale, grow. Primarily we just support founders. So we have a portfolio in Northern Ireland of, I think it's about 112 startups.
Wow.
So a big community now. So we've been running programs in Northern Ireland for the past 4 years.
Cool.
And now we're running like a similar program and a similar accelerator program over in northeast of England in Newcastle. So my role is operations, so I don't deliver anything. I just kind of facilitate everyone else, and kind of own all program logistics so that could be anything from event scheduling, kind of calendar management, to liaising with partners or dealing with mentors, or just kind of primarily making sure that everyone has everything that they need and that they're in the right place and that the program can kind of operate smoothly.
So you took the job at a weird time, because I've been in the BAS, how long have I been in the BAS for? Maybe 4 years or something. And like, I've always seen the Ignite program happening around us, where there's like 30 startups coming in and there's all these amazing programs, and you go upstairs into the event space and there's this workshop going on and you're like, wow, this is very, very cool. And then you had to deliver it virtually. So that's a lot of operations to had to like figure out, and like the logistics to make happen. Like, what was that process like?
Yeah, so I think they had to make the switch over just before I came, so I joined in August, and obviously the lockdowns kind of happened in like March before that, so they'd already kind of switched over and were running hybrid programs, but then over the lockdowns it was just like fully remote. So I had to get to grips with Zoom pretty quickly and all the different kind of functionalities there, but yeah, I guess the most important thing actually was, how do you build that community when you're not together, when you're not in the same place, and like, how do you make sure that people are okay, and that they're managing things, and that like even mentally they're okay, because it's a big deal. Like, people have left their jobs, they've taken a chance, they maybe didn't know anything about Ignite, but suddenly they're part of it, they're trying to get to grips with everything, they're taking on all this information, but when you're here in Orma Bass and doing that together, you can kind of process stuff together, and you can see, you kind of get those indicators of like, that person's struggling or that person's doing really well, whereas on Zoom you join a call, get all this information, and the call ends, and you're just like kind of left on your own to process everything. So I think that was the most difficult part, rather than the actual logistics of it. It was like, okay, well, how do we still build this community and make people feel like they're part of something, and that they still have this like strong cohort effect, even though we're like remote and spread all the way across Northern Ireland.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like it's the real power in what both you guys at Ignite and then the Ormo Bass community, and kind of a bigger picture, the real value in it is, you can correct me or you can kind of give me the language you would use, but like, it's almost like there's like a pastoral component to it. Do you know what I mean? There's like a family aspect where it's like, yes, we're all here to build businesses, ultimately change the world and deliver a huge amount of value for everyone involved. But like, along the way, like, we are all individuals with our own families and our own personal lives and our own problems. And this is kind of the professional family that we find ourselves a part of. And there is that amazing kind of sharing of each other's burdens or checking in with each other. And I think it's so big in what you guys do with early stage founders, where their lives are unbelievably stressful. They're working more than they probably ever have in their lives. And to have people to kind of go on that journey with them, I think I think it's the most important thing that you guys do, but that's not to overshadow the actual technical bits as well, you know.
Yeah, no, totally. It's we would tend to call it the cohort effect.
Nice. It's a bit better than pastoral.
It's more like jargony word for it, but no, you're so right. It's definitely the most important part, and it's part as well of like, you bring together all these different people and they've got different skill sets, and you know, they should be as much as they're learning off us and like the people that come in to deliver workshops and stuff, like they really should be learning off each other and like plugging those like skills as well. But I actually think in a way it was good that I started when I did, because I experienced Ignite for the first time. So I kind of had all those emotions of like, what is this? I don't understand. What are these words? Like, what is this kind of like, what is all this like jargon? All this like tech speak or whatever. And like I kind of fell into the community like suddenly, and then realised like all the support networks that were there for me. So then when all the teams joined like a few months after me, I was able to kind of be like, it's okay, like I've been there.
Nice.
I understand, like I just started too, like I know what this is like I know what it's like to go from maybe working in an office with people or in an organisation or a company that you've been in for years to then not have that and to be sitting at home with the laptop, to be a part of this thing and just be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So in a way it was kind of good timing from that perspective, that I was able to be like, it's alright, I've been through it, I get it, I understand how you're feeling, and like I want to feel a part of this, and I want everyone else to feel a part of this. So like I almost worked harder to get to know people, because I appreciated when people made the time to get to know me like remotely as well, and like make me feel like part of a team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what's it been like for you now that like more and more things are like coming back to the baths and like in person?
Yeah, it's good. It's I feel like I still get that real buzz now when stuff's in person. I'm like, oh, people.
Electric. Yeah.
Yeah, like people together, and like there's still, I think, Zoom obviously has its advantages, and like we've been able to hear from like some really amazing people and get in some like really great mentors and like run really great workshops and things, but it's just something about being in person, isn't there? Just having everyone in the same room, and like, or conversations that you had or things that you noticed and like, oh, I actually wouldn't have had that if it was on Zoom, or I wouldn't have had a chance to talk to you, or
there's no water cooler feature on Zoom, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just those like little organic conversations that you have with people, or like picking up on body language and stuff that you wouldn't have virtually. So yeah, it's still, Zoom's great and it's great that you can bring people together from all over the world, but yeah, there is still something really special about like being in person and having those kind of conversations.
Yeah. So who can benefit from something like Ignite? So, you know, let's say I have a business idea on the back of a napkin. Like at what point of my entrepreneurial journey does Ignite come into the picture?
Good question. Anytime really, I guess, or people. Yeah, it's a good question. We're interested in the people, I guess. So a lot of people come to us with ideas, and they maybe become part of the program, but actually their idea changes. But it's the founders that we're interested in, and kind of their skills and their personality and their drive to like make something that's their own, and like make a success of something, and take an idea through from like conception to reality.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're interested in. But yeah, we are just I think all of us in general have that in common, where we love talking to people and finding out a bit more about people. So we would always just encourage people, like, if you have an idea, like, get in touch.
Yeah.
Like, we just want to speak to you, we want to talk to you, we want to understand like what it is and what stage you're at, and like if we can help you, like we absolutely will.
It's cool. And you guys take 30 businesses at a time? And it's crazy because there was like a lot of people that apply. I mean, there always is, but I feel like this time around especially, I was like, dude, like, if only you could like double the amount of people, because the hunger's really there, if you know what I mean, for people to pursue this sort of startup culture. Yeah,
totally. I think last year was something like 900 applications or people that came through the pipeline, which is crazy. I think it was like 2% like acceptance rate or something. But yeah, I guess on the flip side, there's an appetite there. It's amazing, like even the fact that people know about us, that we're established, and that we're like a go-to place, I guess, for people now. But yeah, on the downside, like there's a lot of people there, a lot of ideas, and we can't help everyone. But it's good that I suppose Northern Ireland has such like an established tech ecosystem now, and there's a lot of different places that people can go to, and we would quite often encourage people like, keep working on it. Like, like this isn't a no to you, this isn't a no to your idea, this is just a like, we can't help you right now, but like please come back to us, please keep working on it. Like here's these other people that you can chat to, or other organisations that you can get involved with. So
it's cool.
Always try to encourage people.
So kind of like on the news question, but like, what do I get if I'm part of the Ignite program? Like, what are some of the benefits, or what does the program even look like?
So the pre-accelerator, it's 6 months. When Newcastle it's 5 months actually, so a wee bit shorter, but It's kind of a weekly rhythm, so you would get like check-ins at the start of the week, check-ins at the end of the week. You would get a lot of mentoring. There's firesides where we kind of bring in experienced founders to just like share their story and their learnings, and then there's weekly workshops as well. And then we put a lot of emphasis on the team spending time with like mentors or entrepreneurs in residence, or EIRs as we call them, and they kind of get like weekly check-ins. There's a real like cadence to it and a rhythm to it and a bit of structure as well for people. And then again, just kind of what we touched on earlier, like the community side of things, so kind of encouraging people to like collaborate and work together and share their learnings, and I guess like meet in person now where they can as well, and get together in a co-working space, and yeah, we've like a hackathon organised for a couple of weeks time and different things like that. So but yeah, there is a real like structure to it and a rhythm, and then I guess throughout that we have like, we would run like a couple of in-person events or meetups or like wider community and like alumni events as well, just to kind of link everyone in, and then they get funding too. Side note.
That helps.
Yeah, they get funding, so it's different amounts for the different programs. But yeah, we basically try and give them like wraparound support in like whatever way we can. So
cool. Yeah. Again, like I've only been here for 4 years, but and this is not scientifically proven. Okay, this is just pure speculation. I feel like looking at the 30 businesses that come in is a really interesting like microcosm of maybe like some of the trends that are happening in the startup world, or even locally what people are really interested in. So like what sort of businesses have you seen like come through even in your recent cohort?
Yeah, I guess the beauty of it is you do get a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And the industries that we, I guess, don't really know about either, and then we kind of have to like quickly like find out a bit about them. But last year there was a real trend for like health tech and med tech stuff.
I wonder why.
Yeah, and the same with like ed tech as well. There's a lot of people kind of working on like digital tools or like remote tools, because obviously pandemic. Cool. And yeah, and this year on the Newcastle cohort there's a lot of like crypto and like and a couple of like NFT businesses and things like that, so quickly having to kind of like learn about all these types of things as well. But yeah, lots of different things, but yeah, I guess those have been the trends like most recently in the cohorts.
Cool. Kind of landing the plane then, just with a couple of closing questions. Like, what do you personally get out of coming to Ormeau Baths? Like, what does this place do for you?
I think again it's just like the community here, isn't it? And like obviously the building's beautiful and it's in like such a good spot, and like the facilities are amazing, but I think as well I put a lot of emphasis on like Claire and Jenna and like the people who run it, and like community. I guess this building's amazing, but like community is the people.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is like just having that space where like people can collaborate and maybe meet each other where their paths like wouldn't have crossed. And I think Claire and Jenna are like such a central part of that, and it's actually there's so many people here who are just like so willing to help or to like introduce you to someone, or be like, oh, have you spoken to so and so, or like, which is just like such a lovely kind of atmosphere and like place to be a part of. But yeah, and it's just nice to have that community, I guess, where people look out for you a bit as well, and like I would do my best to kind of like look out for the teams and stuff, but it's really nice that like Claire and Jenna, like they wouldn't really walk past anyone here without being like, how are you? How's things? Like I just want to check in, or like how's this going in at night? Like that's really great, and that's I think they've really made something really special here, and they've kind of the way they like run Ormeau Baths, I think is kind of like set the tone for how everyone else
so true
kind of like gets on and like engages with each other and like looks out for each other and checks in, or like I think even when someone kind of like new walks in and sits down, you like instantly kind of introduce yourself. You're like, what do you do? What do you do in Ormeau Baths? Like that's like such a nice environment to be a part of. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, it is. It's almost like I always joke with them. They're like our startup mums, you know. But it's like the parents like set the culture for the family. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, and it really does feel like that. Yeah, it's a really interesting point. Yeah, it'd be funny to talk to them about that. Actually, they'll like that. How did you end up tobogganing down the Great Wall of China?
Yeah. Again, like story of my life, no real plan, just kind of like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll apply for this. So yeah, randomly, like after I graduated, applied for, it was a British Council like program to work in Beijing for a couple of months.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was great. So yeah.
Wow.
Went there for 3 months, and yeah, I was working actually, but obviously around work I had a lot of time to kind of explore, and kind of travel around Beijing a wee bit, and yeah, obviously one of the things that we did was go to the Great Wall of China, and yeah, got to toboggan down it. So
crazy. So what was
the dream.
maybe like one of your biggest takeaways from your time in Asia there?
I think it was, although I was working, I think it was more like the personal development than the like professional development. I think it was like, I said it was like just after I graduated, didn't really know what I was like doing with my life, applied on a whim, and then kind of realised when I was there, like, oh, like I actually am capable of like packing my stuff, getting on a plane, coming over here. I know no one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the language, don't really know anything about Beijing, but like, here, we'll give it a go. We'll crack on.
Yeah.
So I think it was more that learning of like, oh, actually, like, I can't do stuff that I maybe thought I can do, or like, maybe when I started uni and was thinking like, oh, I can't go to hockey on my own, or like, I'm like nervous about joining rowing, and 5 years later it's like, oh, okay, I've got a place in Beijing, class,
100%.
like, I'll go and just like see how it goes. So yeah, it's definitely more of a personal development thing than a professional probably, but yeah, and yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to Asia, but yeah, Beijing's like incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, such an amazing place, and yeah, obviously tobogganed on the Great Wall of China, so made it.
Awesome.
It was great, yeah, it was good.
Final question then. What would you say, like, what advice would you give to an 18-year-old Victoria if you had like a couple of minutes of her time?
I think like stop worrying. I think probably everyone says that, but yeah, just like stop worrying and just go with the flow a bit more. And I think looking back, I'm actually really proud of myself. Like, I feel like I know it's like a really cliche sort of time, it's like feel the fear and do it anyway. I feel that kind of has been like a real theme for me. It's like, I'm nervous about this, I'm worried about this, but like, oh, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna go to Beijing anyway. I'm gonna apply for Ignite, the job anyway, even though I don't really know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? It's just like constantly pushing yourself. But so yeah, I think I would just be like, don't worry, it'll work itself out. Like, go with the flow. Like, take opportunities when you can, and yeah, things will work out for the best.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And thank you for spending this time with us. Hope you enjoyed getting to know Victoria a wee bit more. And you can check out all the other conversations as part of this Meet the Members series on the Ormo Bass website. You can click on the lovely wee photos we have of everybody, and you can get to know them a little bit more. Whether you're considering joining Ormo Bass, you're not a member yet, or maybe you are a member and you just want to have a wee nosy and have some really interesting talking points to have with people when you're at the water cooler. There you go. Can't do that on Zoom. So yeah, look, hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for being here, and look forward to catching you again soon. Cheers.